I welcome Ms. Harshita Kala and Ms. Nikita Parekh, promoters of Pro Insight, to kindly share their vision.
Hello everyone, this is Nikita Parekh and Harshita Kala. So, the vision of a Pro Insights, which we started this whole journey with, is to revolutionize learning around the globe by connecting every individual to profound experts virtually.
Our belief is talk to people, connect with them, make the e-learning sound like it's a conversation between people, real people, not robots. Now, I would like to request Shubhi to please give a formal introduction of Mr. S.P. Tulsian.
It was indeed a great vision. Wishing you all very best for your future endeavors. Now, welcoming a renowned market analyst who is immensely respected for his frank and forthright views and his ability to identify potential multi-baggers early on. Having an experience of 40 years in the market is one of the most sought after investment guru and market expert. It is a great honor to welcome a staunch Karma Yogi, Mr. S.P. Tulsian, to share his knowledge with us.
May I start now, Shubhi?
So you may start.
Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to address the audience here. And the topic today is, this one has been given, the art of picking multi-bagger. Though I have been doing that job maybe for last over 4 decades, but let me just go into the background which we are passing through, or maybe for the last couple of years, what I've experienced. Because I think mostly we may be having the student audience here of NMIMS, and that will be quite helpful for them to take up this as a guideline. Because in the olden days, the art of passive investing used to give you the multi-baggers. Because in the olden days, if I just draw the line up to 2000, till year 2000, we have been living in the production economy. That means whatever used to get produced, whether you talk of the FMCG products, engineering products, chemical products, or maybe automobiles, everything used to get sold. The problem was of more of production rather than selling, or maybe of distribution. And more especially in the Indian context, because we have been living in the license Raj. The delicensing process has started from 1991, thereafter in the gradual process. But come 2000, we all know that Y2K, year 2000, when we ushered in the 21st century, that has opened the distribution economy. That means production was not seen a constraint. Whether in India or world over, in fact, you can produce any quantity, but selling came in as a big hurdle, or maybe big desire on part of all the companies and all over the world. So the distribution economy started playing a big role. And this, let me just tell you that when we have this distribution economy having come in, the cost of production have gone down, the margin of the people have started shrinking in, but the volume has really given a good advantage to all these entrepreneurs or all the industries world over. But there has been change as well, which we loosely call as a disruptor. And we all know that the traditional way of doing the business have gone. People used to, have if you wish to distribute, you used to have your brick and mortar shops or outlets for anything, whether automobiles or maybe the FMCG products. But now the things have changed completely, maybe in the online distribution. And in fact, this pandemic situation, which has caught the entire world with the start of year 2000, since then we have been suffering more, and we have been seeing the advantages of the online, or maybe the technology, or maybe the virtual things. Here again, we are addressing we are in fact interacting with all the people here on online, and it's so seamless. Just to give an example, Reliance Industries had their AGM on 15th July, maybe a couple of weeks back, and 317,000 shareholders have connected. We all know that these companies used to have their annual general meeting maybe in some auditorium, or maybe once they had in the hockey ground also, where the maximum shareholders who have participated was 2,000, 2,500 or 3,000. So the explosion which has happened of the participation or interaction has really seemed to be, immense. And in fact, that has opened the floodgates for distribution economy to flourish and to usher more. So taking that into account, in fact, maybe the olden what you call darling of the stock market, when we used to have this one, maybe automobile stocks or maybe the chemical stocks, have all got vanished away, and the new technology, new generation stocks have come in as a multi-bagger or maybe this thing. But just to expand this theme, or just to maybe Vikas will be able to throw lights more on the stocks recommendations going forward. But just to give you an example, or maybe the basis, or maybe the theme of the multi-bagger, in fact, we have, as I've said that I've been into the stock market for the last 45 years, we have a thumb rule that multi-bagger need to have a patience. We used to say that if these multi-baggers in 1 year, they will be 1x. That means they will practically rule at the same price, at what price you have bought, maybe for the first 1 full year. In year 2, it will be x2. In year 3, it will be x3. In year 4, it will be x4. Maybe in year 10, it will be x10. So that means we literally we need to have the patience. We need to have the what you call conviction on the stock. If we bought the stock, we should remain prepared to see the cost price prevailing for next 1 year. But in this impulsive world, or maybe more with the investors, when this online trading have come in, they have all seemed to be very impulsive. No one has that kind of conviction that they can hold the stock for 1 year. In fact, people buy the stock. I have been into the stock market advisory for the last maybe 30 years. And in fact, I get the people asking me question, what are the stocks where I can double my money in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? So this is not the way of picking up the stock of the multi-baggers. Multi-bagger need conviction. Multi-bagger needs patience. Multi-bagger needs time horizon. In fact, the funny questions where it comes to me when people ask me, can you suggest me some multi-bagger with a view of 3 to 6 months? So I say that basically you are defying, or you are breaking the rule of the multi-bagger. In fact, I'm just giving you the caution. No point in building up the unnecessary expectations or creating hype on the multi-bagger theme. So my point is that if you see the stocks, maybe just to give an example, in 2010, in fact, I have narrated this instance in many of my webinars, that EduComp, if you all know, those who have been into the stock market for last over 10 years, here the students are very young, but they must be having the archive, or they must have gone some research and all those things. At that time, the education stocks seemed to be really in big limelight. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan allocations, used to made by the central government and by the state governments, have made these two stocks. One is EduComp and second is Everon. EduComp share at that time, face value 10 rupees, moved to as high as 4,500 rupees. And today the stock is ruling at 4 rupees, maybe 5 rupees. So this is a classic case of wealth destroyer. Second point could be of the Suzlon Energy. When the stock went public and got listed about a decade back, that was the theme of the renewable energy. Nobody knew that what is a renewable energy. And we were all fascinated by this concept of renewable energy in the form of wind energy being supplied, wind energy equipment, wind mills supplied by the Suzlon Energy, and share price went up to 1,000 rupees. Today, what is the price? 4 rupees. So one should not, and in fact, I further wish to state that multi-bagger is like investing into the uprising, or maybe the startups, where the success rate or mortality rate is as high as 90%, or maybe I would say 95%, or maybe the success rate is as low as maybe 1 to 5%. So my point is that there is no point in getting fascinated by the word multi-bagger, and more especially, as I've said in the recent time, if you see, maybe take any stocks, maybe Reliance Industries, just to give an example, was ruling at 1,500 or maybe 1,600 in the month of January, February. It fell to as low as 800 rupees or maybe 900 rupees in the month of March, or maybe in the month of April, when this pandemic got caught to the entire 27th March. We have seen the bottom of the Indian stock markets. At that time, the share price fell to as low as 900, and today it is 2,200. So it has literally become a multi-bagger just in maybe 3 or 4 months. But my point is that you cannot be that fortunate to pick up any kind of these kind of multi-bagger so quickly, so easily. So my point is that in the recent times, similar is that conversely, if I give the other example, we all get fascinated, we all pick up the success stories, but sometimes we forget the failures as well. Now, let me give you 2 classic examples. One is of HUL and second is of HDFC. In fact, I advise everyone that if you want to build up your portfolio for your generations, maybe for next 2 or 3 generations, you must have portfolio of these 2 companies. One is HDFC and the second one is HUL. Now, similar case happened here also in HDFC. Probably the share moved to as high as 2,300 in the month of January, or maybe in the last 6 or 8 months. Similar was the case with HUL. In fact, HUL hit the lifetime high during the time of pandemic. In the month of April, it moved to a level of 2,600. But both are seen ruling maybe 30% below from its peak, which that has been shown in this last 4 or 5 months or 6 months. So my point is that if you take a call on all these stocks, they move in a range. Maybe if you take these quality stocks. And I always advise that the olden days of the picking up the passive investment, people in the olden days used to buy the stocks like Nestle, HUL, MNC products company, which we used to call at that time FERA company, foreign exchange regulated companies, and used to just leave in their portfolio and forget. I don't think that now that time has gone. That time has totally gone. You cannot afford to remain a passive investor, and you cannot make money by remaining invested as a passive investor. So you must keep reshuffling in your portfolio. And this is what I'm not trying to discourage that there is no art of, I will come a little later on that, but these are the some words of caution which I wish to put here before the audience, that let's not get carried away and fascinated by the word multi-bagger. So you need to reshuffle your portfolio at every frequently interval, maybe like once in a week, once in a fortnight, once in a month, or once in a quarter. But that is must. You must reshuffle and take the valuation range of a stock. Maybe people adopt the technical approach also, but I, being a fundamental analyst, I always take a view on a stock or on a sector more from a fundamental point of view. So try to derive or arrive at a range of a stock. Now, just to give you an example, if you ask me that what is the range of the HDFC Limited, let the investors or the students, because they are future stock market experts, they will tomorrow be turning out as a future stock market experts. So if you wish to this one, take for instance HDFC. I can say that the HDFC range is seen to be at 1,700 to 1,900, or maybe 1,700 to 2,000. So try to play within this range. When the stock falls to, if you have taken a range of 1,700 to 2,000, allow maybe 5%, allow maybe a couple of percentage on both the sides. So if share price falls to 17 and 20, 1730, 1740, buy the stock and look to sell the stock maybe at 1,800 plus. So you keep investing and booking profits at a frequent interval. Reliance Industries, just to give an example, maybe a couple of days back, or maybe 3-4 days back, it was ruling at 2,200, closer to 2,200. Everybody was seen to be a keen buyer. Now today the stock is ruling at 2,050. Nobody seemed to be interested. Share fell by about 7-8% in 2 or 3 days. So my point is that all the stocks, whether they may show you consistent rise, but gradually that happens in a gradual manner, and more especially in case of the fundamentally quality stocks, that may seen happening in a linear way as well. That means that every quarterly you may see the stocks rising by 2-3-4%. If you don't see any kind of unforeseen circumstances, either which we have seen here in the case of a pandemic or some geopolitical situation. So my point is that yes, the art of multi-bagger used to prevail in the olden days, but now that time has gone. But still, theoretically, to explain this concept to students, if I just wish to go on the concept of picking a stock or picking a multi-bagger, I'll advise 3 things: that look for the prospects, project, and promoter. These 3 things are very important for picking a multi-bagger stock. First and foremost is promoter. You must be able to take a call on the integrity of the promoter and the performance and the track record of the promoters. Having proved that, only you should pick up the stock from that particular sector or of that particular stock. Just to give an example, take the case of Ambani brothers. There were 2 brothers, Anil Ambani and Mukesh Ambani. We have seen the fate of Anil Ambani, the way he has gone. People were all very gung-ho. I would say that 95% of the experts went wrong on picking up the stocks of the Anil Ambani at that point of time. I was probably the lone voice who has cautioned on all the stocks in the year 2009, 2010 that remain away because of the financial weakness or financial foundation not seen existing for these companies. So my point is that promoter plays a very key important role. Even if it doesn't turn out to be a multi-bagger, you must be able to have the patience to hold it for a considerable longer period of time, maybe 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 15 years. If you don't have that kind of horizon, don't get lured by the multi-bagger. Second point is the project. Now project, it means it's a sector I'm referring to. Now every sector has its own characteristic. Just to give an example, if you want to pick up a multi-bagger in a maybe sector like metal, paper and all those things, you can never succeed because they are already, they always carry a low P multiple. Maybe paper stocks even today are carrying a low P multiple of 6, 7, 8. or maybe 5, 6, 7. Chemical stocks are having a P multiple of maybe 9, 10, 11. Metal stocks, whether it is ferrous metal or non-ferrous metal, they have a P multiple of maybe 8, 9, 10, or maybe 6, 7, 8. Similar is the case with many other stocks where they are always having a low P multiple. So alone growth in the profitability cannot make the share price to move up or we can turn out to be a multi-bagger. In fact, to be a multi-bagger, there need to be two things. One is earning growth, second is P expansion. And as I've said that even if you have picked up a paper company and they've doubled their profits, you will simply be making it to rise by about 20, maybe by about 100%. Because the characteristic of that particular sector is that it will always have a low P multiple. Now, conversely, if I take that call on the maybe new generation stocks like telecom or maybe like FMCG, there the compounding or growth or upsurge in the earnings always lead to P expansion also. Just to give an example, if HUL take that HUL is a giant, but suppose take for a smaller company that if the stock is now that particular stock has shown an EPS of 10 rupees and the stock is enjoying a P multiple of 20 because of the characteristic of higher P multiple being given to FMCG. So in that situation, if the company grows by its earning by 50%, that means their EPS expands from 10 rupees to 15 rupees. In that case, the P multiple, which is now being given of 20x at 10 rupees EPS, will rise to 30 as well. So 20 rupees, 10 rupees earning and 20 P multiple, that means the share was ruling at 200. Earning has grown to 15, but multiple will increase to 30. That means the price will move to 450. So that means the 200 share price will rise to 450 because of the P expansion and because of the earning growth. So my point is that one should look for the promoter first, then the sector. The sector must have the capacity to show the earning growth as well as P expansion. Number two, number three. And third is, as I've said, prospects. That prospects includes many things. Like it must have a debt-free status. It must have a distribution policy. It must have the future, future tailwinds to be seen existing for the company. That means all growth factors should be seen there. And in fact, no stock should be held, as I have been repeatedly saying, that for the view of less than 5 years. If you say that I wish to have a multi-bagger with a view of 2 years, 3 years, you are fooling yourself. You are living in a different world, and you will never be able to succeed in picking up multi-bagger. So this is a theme because I have been asked to address the student as an inaugural this one. So this is some of the guidelines or maybe pointer in respect to picking the multi-bagger stocks. But here, let me address to the students that, in fact, into the capital market. I am a chartered accountant, I am a chartered secretary. In the olden days, chartered accountant used to rule, and in fact, even today, in the capital market or in the financial world, you will see plenty of chartered accountants. But now, because of the MBA scene, picking up, you all are students or seems to be of BBA, MBA, and all, or maybe the management students. In fact, you have a lot of potential. In fact, stock market should not be seen only as a means to earn money by making an investment. That is definitely one of the way. But I would say that those who wish to build their career must look to do that as well. Because I opted 45 years back, when I qualified as a chartered accountant, chartered secretary, law graduate, I opted to come into the stock market. People, in fact, were not aware that what kind of capital market. They were taking this more as a speculation or as a speculator's den, gambling den and all that. But, I had my different vision. So now the capital market per se has become very vibrant, maybe in terms of fund management, merchant banking, investment banking, capital market regulations, investment advisory, PMS. There are multiple avenues. In fact, each branch is a specialized one. So I request all the students that if you really wish to take this as a career, even the finance journalism is seen to be where I also try to have my role there. Even finance journalism is seen to be a very satisfying job, very paying job, and very distant. So but my only request in this one is that if you wish to come into the finance journalism or into the finance field, not finance journalism, into the finance field, you must have, apart from that qualification, you must have passion. Because without passion, no one can really make it. Because simply by, if you say that, oh, I'm the topper in BBA or MBA, that is fine, but you must have the passion. In fact, I've seen many of the rank holder or maybe the gold medalist chartered accountancy faltering into the capital market. I've never been a gold medalist, or I've never been a silver second ranker, or even not even a rank holder in the CA and in any of my professional exams. But maybe because of my passion, because of my liking for the capital market or for managing the wealth, for the last over 40 years has made me to reach this height. And in fact, whatever today I'm in my life, maybe in the terms of my name, fame, it's all thanks to the stock market. So my point is that yes, there are ample opportunities, and that is my guiding indications or maybe guidelines being given to the students here. With this, I conclude my remark. Thank you very much.
So, sir, we are quite intrigued by your views on investing, and here we have some questions on which we would really love to receive your pro insights. So, the first question being that nowadays many companies are coming up with FPOs like Yes Bank and rights issues like MMF, which are there, and these are substantially lower than the market price of these things. So, how would the investor look at this scenario?
See, in case of, since you have referred the rights issue, my just one very simple, I always try to give the simple logic or maybe simple reasoning. If any company is making rights issue, because right now rights issues are all made on the fast track basis. They announce a rights issue, it opens in the next 15 days or maybe next 3 weeks. If the company is coming out with a rights issue to finance the losses or maybe to come out of stress, just avoid that rights issue. Case in point, I'm just giving you the recent examples. Aditya Birla Fashion, Arvind Fashions, PVR, they all came out with largely to come out of stress. The rights issue came out with by the company to finance the losses. They did not mean directly that we are financing the losses, but they said to augment the working capital, to augment the resources. So it's a very clear indication that if the rights issue is meant for meeting the stress, just avoid that. The share price will not sustain. But if it is for the growth capital, maybe like M&M Finance came for the growth capital, Shriram Transport came from the growth capital. In fact, the best example has been taught by the Reliance Industries Limited, which came for retirement of the loan or maybe retirement of the debt, the largest ever 53,000 crore rights issue, but they gave you the time. They gave deferred payment facility of about 18 months to the shareholder. They asked 25% on the application, 25% they will be asking after 12 months and balance 50% after 18 months. And that has proved to be the investor friendly. That means the company says that I'm not in a hurry to take your entire money just to pay off the debts and mop up or shore up my bottom line. In fact, I will demonstrate, and that is what has responded. Number two, if the promoters are willing to show their willingness to put the money day one, SEBI undertaking is different thing. That SEBI is asking always the promoters that in case rights issue doesn't evoke a response of 90%, then you will fall back and take. But here in case of Reliance Industries, they came forward and they before closure of the application, promoter put in the entire 100% of the rights issue amount into the account. So that gives confidence. So simple rule is that if the rights issue is for the growth capital, go for it. The share price will sustain, share price will appreciate. But if it is for financing the stress, for financing the losses, for financing the working capital, or maybe the shortage of the working capital, all sort of things, the share price will fall eventually.
So now I would like the participants to come up and ask a few questions directly if they want to.
Yeah, please.
There's one question in the chat box. It's from Bhavi. The question is, what are your insights on Ruchi Soya?
See, now let's understand this. Ruchi Soya has been acquired by the new management, that is Patanjali Group. Now it's more into the soya processed products, soya and soya meal products. Now, if you see when the frenzy started building up on the stock, when it moved to 1300, I cautioned at that point of time, because people were taking a call that Patanjali will get merged into this company and there will be reverse merger. But no point in again living and just daydreaming like that. Now I think the stock has come to its realistic level, 600-700 rupees. That's for anyone to take a call if they wish to make investment. But I think that maybe the turnaround or maybe the company to turn profitable will take little time, because the new promoter, new management has to demonstrate they've got a very good what you call cut, or they got the company at a very good price, maybe 4,500 crore. But still they have to perform. And in fact, the soya and soya products has a lot of potential from health point of view, and also, and in fact, this Patanjali Group has a very good distribution channel. So if you wish to make investments at the current price, again, you can look to make investment. That seems to be the current price seems to be reasonable. But maybe about a month back when the stock was hitting 1,300 rupees, 1,200 rupees, that was the frenzy seen into the stock.
So I would like to pick another question from the chat box. So, sir, in your speech somewhere you said that we should be, patient enough, and we should, for finding true multi-baggers, we should be patient and we should wait for at least 5 years. But also somewhere in your speech you mentioned about, re-evaluating and reallocating things in your portfolio every quarter, maybe even every week or every month. So how should we proceed about doing in
No, no, I have given you two options. I've said that the olden days of passive investment has gone. That means if you and still if you opt to go for the multi-bagger, go for it, but don't look for the portfolio or maybe that particular stock for 1 year to 1 to 5 years. Alternatively, I've said that instead of going for picking the multi-bagger form of investing or picking that as a theme, instead you go for the regular form of investing and keep booking profit. So these are the two alternatives I've given. Now let me again clarify one more thing, just to give you one example of multi-bagger. This is just hypothetical, and I request all the students here to specifically ask for the concept or theme instead of asking for the stock, because there is no point by merely asking on the stock will not enhance your knowledge. You must understand the concept from me. Just to give you an example of the multi-bagger theme. This is just an example. Let's not get lured and let's not jump to buy the stock. Take the case of Century Textile. Now, what is the business of that company that has firstly, let's take the financials of the company. It has a market capitalization of roughly about 5,000 crore because the share, or maybe much lower than that, because company, I don't have that ready data, but they have a capital of 13 crore shares, 300 rupees. That means 4,000 crore is the market cap. Maximum 500 crore is a loan. That means enterprise value is 4,500 crore. What the company has, the paper plant of 2 lakh ton in Nainital, that has a value, a present value, net present value of closer to about 5,000 crore. I'm giving you the ballpark. They have a textile unit in Gujarat near Dahej, net present value closer to about 1,500 crore. They have the chemical plant which they have leased it out to Grasim Industries at Kalyan, that is closer to net present value of 500 crore. They still have 1.3 million ton cement plant, closure value of about 500 million, a net present value of estimated to be about 750 crore. After having sold 13 million ton to Ultratech. So add up all these things, 5,000 crore paper plant, 1,500 crore textile, 6.5, 500 crore this chemical plant, 500 crore other, 7,500 crore. Plus they have the land at Worli and at Kalyan. That value runs into maybe 10,000 crore net present value I'm referring to. I request everyone to go and make the look to the presentation. The net present value of the assets owned by the company are closer to about maybe 15 to 20,000 crore. What is the enterprise value? 4,500 crore. Eventually, they have intention to monetize the entire land at Worli, Prabhadevi, as well as at Kalyan. Apart from that, they have 7 lakh square feet which they have leased it out on a monthly basis, on which they are earning a monthly rental of about closer to about 50, 60, 70 crore. So my point is that if you these are the pointer for picking a multi-bagger stock. You have the faith in the promoter, AB Birla Group. They have been consistent performer. They have been performing for the last over 100 years. Company doesn't have any debts. Company has the regular income in the form of the profitable 500 crore is the EBIT from paper division annually. They have the rental income of closer to about 200 crore annually from this one. So my point is that if you wish to pick up a multi-bagger, you must have these kind of solid credentials available with you in respect to that particular company or in that particular stock which you have chosen. So I have not said that you keep take a view on the multi-bagger every week. I have given you alternative that instead of picking multi-bagger, one should go for making investments on a regular basis and keep booking regular profits at every interval. Yeah.
Sir, so the last question for this from Prashant. How does an investor understand reverse booking building price under delisting scenario, or like Vedanta and Hexaware have announced the same? At what price should we tender shares? How to understand that?
See, it is like sometimes I look into the questions or anxiety. Sometimes I feel that the students have not played the Guile Shield or maybe the Harris Shield and they want to play for the country. Now here, let me tell you, I can give you, now take the case of Vedanta. Now you want to understand the reverse book building value, or the correct valuation of the stock. First and foremost, as a chartered accountant, I say that's a book value. That's number one. Book value is closer to about 180 rupees per share. Now come on the individual valuation of each sector or each segment which the company is owning. Company is owning 65% in Hindustan Zinc. Company is owning their own aluminium plant. Companies having their own copper smelter, which is closed now. Companies having their iron ore plant. Companies having their power plant. Companies having their oil and gas exploration blocks. Companies having their overseas assets of the zinc and all that. So my point is that will you be able to take the valuation of all these companies? If you really want to solve a puzzle, go in a simpler way. Don't pick up the stock like Vedanta. Maybe there are other companies. Maybe like try to work that out in case of Hexaware, where the delisting move has also been initiated. So the best process for arriving at a reverse book value price is the book value vis-a-vis the net present value of the company. what is the net present value? If someone can take that call as an engineer, I don't think that any commercial student is capable to take that call, whether he's an MBA or a chartered accountant. The net present value can be easy, can be more accurately assessed by an engineer. So the two parameters: one, look for book value, and second is net present value. And thirdly, it depends. Try to assess the desire of the promoter to make the company really go on, delisted, which we generally see in case of multinational companies. So these are the methods by which one can arrive at a reverse book value.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your insightful knowledge regarding not being a passive, being an active investor instead of passive investor. I, on the behalf of Pro Insights and the entire team, would like to express our gratitude for taking out time from your busy
So
schedule.
wait,
Thank you,
sir.
sir, once again.
Before winding up, as sir, you are the market expert, and we have many CAs in the participation list. So I would like to request you to suggest us 5 top stocks that can be multi-bagger stocks.
See, madam, this is not so easy to suggest the multi-bagger. If they are chartered accountant in the audience, let them do that exercise. I've given them the food for thought. I've given one example of Century Textile. The things are not that easy. You just cannot pick up the multi-bagger. Probably to identify it is something like that. You tell a scientist that keep giving me every day one formula. To identify one multi-bagger, probably it takes you 1 year. Even if you are able to identify one multi-bagger in a year, you should really feel very happy. But just to give you an example, or maybe just to give some thought for that, I've given one example of Century Textile. If you still want to ask me, I may give you an example that, okay, go and study the balance sheet of maybe Shriram Transport, maybe go and study the balance sheet of Haikel Limited, go and study the balance sheet of Bharti Airtel. They can seem to be the potential multi-bagger. Don't expect me to just give you the names. I can only give you the thoughts. I can only give you the process. I can only give you the methodology to look into. But these are the 3 or 4 stocks where I again request that they are not truly multi-bagger, but let them apply their mind, let them break their head. If they are chartered accountant, they have gained all this knowledge in their professional course. So maybe I advise them to look into the stocks like Haikel Limited, Shriram Transport, Bharti Airtel. I've already given them an example of Century Textile.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your insightful knowledge regarding being an active investor and not being a passive investor. So I, on the behalf of Pro Insights and the entire team, would like to express our gratitude for taking the time from your busy schedule. Thank you, sir, once again. Shubhi.
Now we would like to introduce our chief guest for the day, CA Sunil Patodia, founder of SK Patodia and Associates. His contribution to society is commendable. Having diverse knowledge and multiple sectors, let us welcome CA Sunil Patodia to share his pro insights with us. Sunil sir, you can take over.
Thank you, Suvi. Good morning to all. नमस्ते विकास जी. तुलसियान जी दिख नहीं रहे शायद. All friends. SP तुलसियान जी का बहुत अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस्ड एनालिसिस हमने अभी सुना, और मैं ये मल्टीबैगर के लिए एडवाइस करने के लिए तो राइट पर्सन नहीं हूँ. इसके लिए हमारे साथ विकास जी है, शशिकांत जी का हमने अभी भाषण सुना. मैं तो खाली मेरी भावनाएं शेयर करने के लिए आया हूँ. और मैं ऐसे सीए के हुए मेरे को 30 साल होने को आए, लेकिन जब मैं स्टूडेंट था तभी हमारे शशिकांत जी तुलसियान जी का एक पेपर आता था, प्रीमियम इन्वेस्टमेंट. उससे देखकर हम इन्वेस्टमेंट करते थे. उस समय हमें शेयर मार्केट की थोड़ी जानकारी हुई. तो ये जो मल्टीबैगर है, ये मैं एज ए लेमैन समझता हूँ कि ये हम खाली पता लगा सकते हैं मल्टीबैगर क्या है, और उसका राइट टाइम ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट होना चाहिए, राइट स्क्रिप्ट होनी चाहिए, राइट स्पेन ऑफ टाइम होना चाहिए. ये सब हमको मालूम है, लेकिन हर स्क्रिप्ट का राइट टाइम क्या है, कौन सी स्क्रिप्ट कब खरीदने लायक है, ये सब बहुत सारी इन डेप्थ स्टडी की जरूरत रहती है. तो इन डेप्थ स्टडी हमारे आज के जो दो स्पीकर है, शशिकांत तुलसियान और विकास जी सेठी। विकास जी सेठी शेयर मार्केट के तो बहुत अच्छे एनालिस्ट भी हैं, लेकिन मेरा बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य है कि लायंस क्लब में भी हमको साथ में काम करने का मौका मिला है। 2 साल पहले विकास जी सेठी लायंस क्लब के प्रेसिडेंट के रूप में पूरी समाज की सेवा में लगे हुए थे। बहुत मुश्किल है ऐसे व्यस्त आदमी को समय निकालना, और विकास जी को हम टीवी पे सुनते रहते हैं, टीवी पे, लेकिन क्या है वो जो एंकर्स उनको सवाल पूछते हैं, खाली उसका ही जवाब हमको मिल पाता है। आज हमारा सौभाग्य है कि हम खुद भी उनसे कुछ पूछ पाएंगे। मैं खाली एक चीज जोड़ना चाहता हूँ। अभी जैसे एसपी तुलसियान जी ने हमको बताया कि आप ये कौन सी स्क्रिप्ट का कैसे होगा, खाली इस पे पता लगाने की बजाय हम सब काफी यंग एज के लोग ज्यादा दिख रहे हैं यहाँ पे। तो शशिकांत जी तुलसियान जी का भी यही इशारा था, और मैं भी ये चाहता हूँ कि आप शशिकांत जी क्या राय देते हैं उस पे जाने की बजाय आप शशिकांत जी कैसे बन सकते हैं, विकास जी सेठी कैसे बन सकते हैं, उस चीज पे आप ज्यादा फोकस करेंगे तो आज की जो ये वेबिनार है उसका पर्पस सर्व होगा। मैं बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ हर्षिता काला और निकिता पारिक, जिन्होंने एक बहुत अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म चालू किया है और इतनी यंग एज में उन्होंने इतना सोचा, ये एक बहुत अच्छी बात है। और मैं जब भी हमारे जो एज रेंज के फ्रेंड सर्किल है उनको हमेशा कहता हूँ कि हमारी आज आने वाली जनरेशन है बहुत स्मार्ट है, और ये हमारे जो देश है, हमारी दुनिया है, उसको नई ऊंचाइयों पे लेके जाएगी। और ये पिछले 5 महीने से जो हम एक चैलेंजिंग सीन देख रहे हैं पूरे विश्व में, ये हमको जनरेशंस को भी थोड़ा कनेक्ट करने को मौका मिला है। मतलब इतने यंग जनरेशन के साथ कई बार बात करने का मौका मिला है। वो क्या सोचते हैं, जनरली हम जो पेरेंट्स रहते हैं, हमारे जो व्यूज रहते हैं, हम बच्चों पे थोपते रहते हैं, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि ये 5 महीनों में यंग जनरेशन को समझने की भी लोगों में इच्छा जागृत हुई है। और जिस तरह से नेक्स्ट जनरेशन टेक्नोलॉजी ने इस 5 महीने में जो रोल निभाया है उसमें काफी लोगों को समझ में आ गया है कि यहाँ नेक्स्ट जनरेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। यू जस्ट कांट थ्रो योर ओपिनियंस ऑन देम, यू हैव टू टेक अ लॉट फ्रॉम देम। और इसीलिए मुझे लगता है कि आज की जो वेबिनार है उसमें हमारे जो फ्यूचर एनालिस्ट, फ्यूचर गाइडेंस फॉर मल्टीबैगर्स मे बी इमर्ज। आई मस्ट थैंक माय friend Jayesh Kala, who has requested me to come here. It is really a great opportunity for me to interact with all of you. I see a lot of good friends, good seniors. One more chartered accountant, Manish Ladge, who is also working with us in Lions Club. So he is not starting his video, no problem, but I have seen him. मैं तो खाली यही बोलना चाहता हूँ कि आप एक बार फिर ये बोलूँगा कि मल्टीबैगर्स ये बहुत इन डेप्थ स्टडी वाला है, और आप मल्टीबैगर्स क्या है उसको जानने की बजाय जो आने वाले मल्टीबैगर्स है उसको आप कैसे आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं, और उसको आइडेंटिफाई करने के बाद में आप अपने फ्रेंड्स और रिलेटिव्स को उसको कैसे फायदा पहुंचा सकते हैं, इस पे ज्यादा जोर देंगे तो आज की वेबिनार सफल होगी। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मुझे सुनने के लिए, एंड ऑल द बेस्ट। We are now eagerly waiting for विकास जी सेठी for his experience, और उनकी जो गाइडलाइन है वो मैं उनको रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि हमारे जो साथी हैं, हमारे जो यंग पीपल हैं, उनको आप कुछ टिप्स ऐसी भी दें कि विकास जी सेठी कैसे बना जाए। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your perspective, opinion regarding the multi-bagger stock, the technology, the generation, and everything. We are obliged to have you speak today. Thank you, sir.
Let us introduce the keynote speaker, who has an experience of more than 25 years. He is a well-known face in the Indian capital market MD of Sethi Finmart Private Limited, and also has an expert panelist on news channels like Z Business, CNBC Awaaz, ET Now, Bloomberg Quint, and various other platforms. Having completed his Master in Finance from the prestigious London Business School, who is widely respected and followed by investors for his unbiased and expert advice on investment and Indian equities, let us welcome Mr. Vikas Sethi.
Do I start? Should I start then?
Yes, sir.
So am I audible clearly? Okay, good morning, friends. At the outset, I would like to thank Jayesh Kala, Harshita Kala, Shubhi Gangwal, Nikita Parekh, and the entire team at Pro Insights for having given me this opportunity to interact with such an elite audience. I'm extremely thankful to Sunilji Patodia, Namaste, for the very kind words you've spoken about me. Bahut bahut dhanyawad Sunilji aapka. I'm also thankful to, or would like to send my special greetings to Mr. S.P. Tulsianji. I don't know whether he's still there or he's left. And it's very heartening to see so many people joining this on a lazy Sunday morning. And before I get into discussing today's topic, which is the art of picking multi-bagger ideas, I would like to first share my views on the current scenario in the market. I was actually told that this would be a gathering full of chartered accountants, but I see more of students out here. So I think I need to be a bit slow, and I'll try to be as slow as possible so that students can follow me properly. As far as the current markets are concerned, we've already seen a huge rally from levels of 7,500 to the current levels of 11,000 on the Nifty, particularly led by the ample liquidity which has been pumped in by several central banks. Like US Fed has pumped in around $2 trillion, and they are talking about pumping in another stimulus. The past stimulus has got over yesterday. Then even Japan had pumped in a big stimulus package. Europe did this. So ample liquidity is there, and that is ensuring that the markets are at these levels. And the second thing which is there is the fear of missing out factor. Most of the people had not participated in the rally, and that is what is keeping the markets bullish and are not allowing it to correct as much as it should have actually, if you look at the fundamentals. But as far as our markets are concerned, from a long-term point of view, I remain super bullish on our markets. We are in a very good position, and I think with the isolation of China, which is beginning to happen now, India stands to gain tremendously over the next decade. So I would advise each one of you to continue to remain very bullish on Indian markets from the next, say, 5 to 10 years point of view. When I was discussing with Jayesh yesterday, he had asked me to use a mix of both Hindi and English. So I will be, and as it is, I'm more comfortable talking in Hindi. So I would like to use a mix of both Hindi and English. Now I'll come to the point, the topic of today, which is the art of picking multi-bagger ideas. Although there is no shortcut or no sure shot or a sacrosanct formula which I can give you to identify a multi-bagger idea, but I'm sure after the half an hour which I'm going to talk about, you would certainly be able to find out good quality stocks which would give you pretty good returns, which would not fail you in times of a normal market scenario. There could be times when markets go haywire or they they just crash, as we saw in the month of March when all this COVID-19 started, and we went into the entire world went into a lockdown, and the markets crashed. So that is a separate story. But if you have a long-term point of view, I think these qualities, if you adopt, or these criteria, if you use to identify stocks, they would not fail you in a if you are invested for a long-term point of view. Now let me share my screen, which would be useful when I'm talking. Just a second, let me try doing this. I'm not very conversant with technology, so Jayesh or Shubhi, if you are there, I think you will help me do this. Just a second. You can allow me to share the screen.
So I made you the co-host. You can share your screen.
I can. Okay. Is it done?
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
It's visible. Okay. Okay. So nice. Thanks. So the topic of today is art of picking multi-bagger stocks. It's not moving, but just a sec. Yeah. Okay, I would like to start with the famous quote of the world's most successful investor, Warren Buffett. He's always, this quote of his is famous, and every investor should follow this. Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. Meaning, you should always avoid the hard mentality. You should not let your emotions cloud your judgment. Like if I were to give you a live example, whatever happened on the 24th of March or whatever happened in the month of March, if you had panicked, you would have sold when it was time to buy into the markets. When everybody was fearful in the market, you needed to be greedy and you needed to go all out and buy good quality stocks. And had you done that, you would have made tons of money in the next 3 months. It's not been even 5 months, and we are seeing most of the good quality stocks having more than doubled from the levels which we saw in the month of March. So the first thing is you need to avoid the herd mentality. Then you always need to take informed decisions, which would mean you need to do your own research. Whatever I might tell you, whatever you might hear on television channels from a lot of experts, or whatever even Tulsianji would have suggested you, but it's always necessary that you do your own research before you invest. And you people are all, most of you are chartered accountants, and students also were there. I'm sure they must be connected to the commerce stream, and they would be in a position to do their own research. So before investment, just do your own research. The third thing would be invest in business you understand, which means you should not be worried if your stock, the stock you would have bought, and if you're convinced about the business which it is into, then you would not be worried even if it falls by 20-30% because of some panic in the market. So that is what it is. Then never ever try to time the market. It's not possible at all to time the market. Nobody has been able to do it successfully, and nor will anybody be ever able to do it. So do not ever try to time the market, and your view always should be long term. You should be investing into the market and not speculating or trading in this market. Then follow a disciplined investment approach, which is self-explanatory. Then diversify. Diversification is very important. You should not put all your eggs in one basket. There could be, while buying into a stock, you would have done your due diligence, everything would have looked fine, but because of one simple decision which the promoters of that company takes, the company could go bust, or there could be problems with the company. So don't put all your eggs in one basket, and I would strictly advise that please do not put more than 10% into one particular stock. Then have realistic expectations, which would mean normally what people who are not from the market would think that it's a market where you can generate 100% in a year. So you should not have those kind of expectations. If I were to tell you, if I were to ask you, can somebody tell me what was the kind of return which Warren Buffett would have generated over the last 53 years to have become the world's most successful investor and even among the top 3 richest person in the world? You would be surprised to know that it is only about 19% CAGR, which he has done. But it has been a consistent return, and that is what. So compounding is the 8th wonder. And if your money keeps compounding at a rate of 19% for the say next 10, 15 years, you will have made a lot of money. So just have realistic expectations. There would be some stock in your portfolio which would give you 50%, 100%, but there would be some where you would be losing. So overall, if you can make 19, 20% a year on a consistent basis, there's nothing like it. Do not leverage. Just take this as the most important lesson which you will take from this presentation today. Do not ever leverage. Put your surplus funds into the markets. Do not borrow money to put into the markets, because At times, market can remain irrational for more than you can sustain. So do not ever leverage. Read, read, and read, which is what I was earlier talking about. You need to keep yourself informed. So just continue reading. There are lots of books on investing, like One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch, then The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. They are celebrated books. I would request all students to at least read these kind of books and gain knowledge. And finally, you should monitor your investments regularly, despite the fact that I've asked you to be a long-term investor, but you need to be monitoring your investments and following the companies which you are invested into. I'll not talk about some mindset or traits which are required for a successful investor. I'll just rush through them because we have very limited time and I have lots to talk about. Actually, this topic requires several hours to discuss. So in the limited half an hour or so, I think we need to rush through. So the qualities which would be required would be patience, which again means you need to be a long-term investor. Common sense. This is something which is important. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to be able to identify a multi-bagger. It's all common sense. When I'll just give you a live example. I'll like to come to Hindi also at times. Like आप लोगों को ध्यान होगा around say 1st of February when our union budget was being presented. In China, coronavirus epidemic had already started. Wuhan, the epicenter of corona, was already locked down. But that time what occurred to my mind was I searched Google and found out कि क्या होता है Wuhan में. And Wuhan is an important center for export of APIs, active pharma ingredients. So the immediate thing which should have occurred to your mind is when Wuhan is locked down and you didn't know until what time would it be locked down, you needed to figure out which company in India is the leading company making APIs. And if you had done that, it was just a common sense. There were 2-3 companies which came to my mind. One was Divi's Laboratories, which is a world-class company which is into APIs. Then there were 2 companies which were manufacturing ibuprofen, which goes into the manufacture of paracetamol. And since this virus was leading to fever, I was of the opinion that paracetamol would be in huge demand. So those 2 companies were IOL Chemicals and Solara Active Pharma. And believe me, if you had put in your money in these kind of stocks on the 24th of March or somewhere around that time, in the month of February, like when the union budget was being presented, I was on Z Business, on the business channel, and I was asked by the celebrated anchor Anil Singhvi about my picks for the budget. So since there was nothing much in the budget, I had gone out of the box and said I like Divi's Lab at the current levels because of the reason which I've just spoken about, and it was quoting at 1600, and during lockdown also nothing happened to the stock. It was rock solid, and today also it's quoting at 2600, and I'm still bullish on the stock. And that day IOL Chemical was quoting at 160, 170 levels. I'd recommended it to lot of chartered accountants, some of whom may be present in this seminar when I was interacting with the study circle in Anjari West. In the Lokhandwala Study Circle, I was invited by Radheshyamji Falod and his son Aditya Falod, and I gave this idea of IOL Chemicals when it was quoting at 160 rupees. And the basic reason behind that was since they were manufacturing ibuprofen, which would be in huge short supply and demand because of the lockdown in Wuhan. And this stock, if you look at it, it touched a high of 830, and today also it is at 780 rupees in the 5-month period, and with so much of volatility in the market, this stock is rock solid. And similar has been the case with Solara Active Pharma. So common sense is what is very important. Then tolerance for pain is there because you might buy into a stock and it goes down by 15-20%. That should not scare you. That should not. You shouldn't be worried about why it has fallen. And if you're convinced about the idea, just be with it. You should have an open mind. You should be persistent. You should be humble. You should do your independent research. You should be able to willingly admit mistakes. You might have got into a wrong stock, but if you got to know about it, just sell it, get out of it, accept your mistake. And that is the way to go ahead. And ignore general panic. And this, if you would have done, you would have not sold when it was time to buy in the month of March. So these are the kind of traits which you need. This is just a quote from Benjamin Graham in his celebrated book, The Intelligent Investor. The individual investor should act consistently as an investor and not as a speculator. Now I come to the idea today which would help you identify good quality stocks. I think I'm audible, I'm clear, I'm not fast. People are with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is how to identify good stocks. First thing is always look at the management of the company. It has to be strong, capable, honest, and visionary. The management is the promoter's quality is the single most important thing which you need to look at, because you are investing in a company from a long-term point of view. So the dignity, the integrity, honesty of the management becomes crucial. So that is one thing which you should be always looking at. Second thing would be the company should have a competitive advantage, and that is what will help it growing above average and giving you multi-bagger returns. The third thing is this: there should be strong promoter holding, because if promoters are putting their money where their mouth is, that would add to confidence. And the most important thing which I look at would be they should not have pledged their shares. I do not mind promoters pledging, say, up to 5% of their holding, which even sometimes Tata Group would be doing. But a pledge of 80%, 90% would lead to problems, and you don't know what the promoters are doing from the funds which they've borrowed after pledging their shares. And if they fail there, it would certainly create havoc in their stock. So avoid companies which have large promoter pledge. The company should have healthy earnings growth. You look at the 5-year compounded annual growth rate of the company in terms of its revenues, in terms of its PAT, and it should ideally be at least 15%, if not more. So that is one quality which a company should be having before you invest into a company from a long-term point of view. The valuation should be attractive. You cannot buy anything and everything at any price. Everything is justified at a particular price. So you need to look at the valuation of the company compared to, like, there is not any objective number which I can give you, like the price earnings multiple should be this, which would make it get into the category of an attractively valued company or a reasonably valued company. It's not like that. It varies from industry to industry. Kisi industry mein even a 40 times price earnings multiple would look to be cheap, like an FMCG industry in India. Most of the companies quoted more than 40 times. So there could be companies like HUL or a Nestle or a Britannia which could be quoting at 60 times and yet be cheap. And there could be companies like from the commodity space or the cyclical stocks where they're trading at P's of around 5, 6 and still look expensive. So it's a relative thing, but you can compare it with the average industry PE, and that would help you in identifying whether it is attractively valued or highly valued. Then you should not invest in a company with huge debts. Just take this. I'll give you a formula to remember this later on after the end of this slide. But the company should not be having huge debt. A manageable debt, a very low debt would be just great. But depending on the industry, there might be some debt, but it should not ideally exceed 0.4 to 0.5, the debt equity ratio, unless it is a NBFC company or a bank which depend on capitals, so their debt equity ratio would be high. But always look for companies with negligible debt or no debt or low debt. And one more thing which you need to look at is whether the company is doing expansion from its internal accruals or it's always borrowing for expansion. I would prefer companies doing expansion with their internal accruals. So that is also one thing which one should look at. The return ratio should be great, which would mean the return on equity or the return on capital employed should at least be more than 15% or at least be more than the cost of capital which the company has. So that is one thing which needs to be looked at. The sector should be growth oriented. The company should be positive, should have positive cash flows. And that also can be judged from what kind of dividend policy the company has. What kind of, if a company shows you a profit of thousands of crores but does not pay dividend, so you need to figure out what would be the reason. Either they are going in for an expansion which does not allow them to share the profits with the shareholders, or there is something wrong with that. So that will give you an idea. So you need to look at the dividend policy of the company. And the most important thing again is the corporate governance should be good, which again boils down to having an ethical promoter, or the promoter's integrity should be good. So corporate governance is an important thing to look at, and companies with issues relating to corporate governance should always be avoided. Then future growth potential would be something which certainly you should be able to you should be looking at, because you are trying to identify multi-baggers. So again, their common sense would work, or else when you read about whatever is happening around, you would certainly be able to find out which sectors would do well, which I'll come to later on during my part of the presentation. I've been asked to talk about the sectors also which I like. So at the end of the slide, I'll like to give you one word which I coined and which I talked about in my several TV shows, which is a PDC. In normal scenario, we would understand by PDC a post-dated check. So best thing to learn to remember these would be a PDC, which means any company having a lot of promoters pledge, just say no to that company. Promoters pledge is something which needs to be taken seriously and avoided. D is debt. Company having huge debt needs to be avoided. And C stands for corporate governance. Company having problems as far as corporate governance is concerned needs to be strictly said no. Please don't put your money into those kind of companies. I think that is it, and then I'll move to another slide. Okay, I was asked to talk about what is the good time to invest in the market. So when you're investing for the long term, there is no bad time to get into the market, because markets can remain irrational for some time, but ultimately it will all be fundamentals which would drive share prices. So if you are there for the long haul, you need not worry. So you cannot time the market also, and there is no such thing as good time to invest in the market. But as I earlier said, you should be greedy when everybody is fearful. So jump into the market when things are panicky. Not everybody is willing to invest in the market. So at those times, if you're invested in good quality stocks, that would certainly give you decent returns. And you should invest whatever amount you can, whenever you can. If you don't have a lump sum to invest, doing an SIP would be the best strategy. And then giving time to the market is better than timing the market. It's as simple as this. So give time to the market. When you're putting your hard-earned money into the market, spend time in the market, do your research, and get to know about the companies you want to invest in. And finally, I'm talking about key sectors to invest in. Just a second. Okay. I was asked by Jayesh to talk about some sectors which I think would do well over medium to long term point of view. So the first sector which would come to your mind would be a chemicals sector. Chemicals as a space looks very good, partly because of the isolation of China or the environmental concerns which China has, and since China is world's leading manufacturer of chemicals, so a lot of business from China could come down to India. So Indian companies which have done a lot of expansion over the last 2-3 years, they're great quality companies, and India's contribution to the world market in chemicals is pretty low. So we have a good chance as far as chemicals are concerned, and this sector looks promising. Although stocks from this sector have already gone up over the last 2-3 months, because this is not something which is new to the market. They've been doing well, but I see tremendous opportunities going ahead. Even if you have a 5 to 10 years point of view, I think chemical as a space will continue to do well. The second sector would be contract manufacturing. Again, I'm bullish on the sector because you must have heard a lot of big companies, big US companies, which were until now operating from China, are thinking to shut down their plants in China, and those manufacturing facilities could be created in India, Vietnam, Indonesia. So India stands a good chance, provided our government acts proactively and solves its labor policies, or makes doing business easy in India. So it would depend on that, but then I feel this sector would do well. So there are a lot of good quality contract manufacturing companies in India, so one can have a look at them. Pharmas look good, although the sector has done tremendously well over the last 3-4 months. But pharma, since China is again a leading exporter of pharma, particularly APIs, which I was discussing earlier on. So I think that would be a sector to watch out for. IT, India remains a stronghold as far as IT is concerned, and there are solid companies, very good quality companies, and they would continue to do well for the next 5 to 10 years. Information technology looks good, and with companies like TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, they will continue to do well. So IT looks good. FMCG, since we are a 130 crore population with rising middle class income, I think FMCG would do well. So there are excellent quality FMCG companies, and during lockdown period also we've seen them doing well. So FMCG looks to be a promising sector again. It has been doing well and will continue to do well. One sector which has come out of the box is cement and metals. These are two sectors which have been beaten down badly. Right now the scenario is not good. With whatever is happening between US and China, metals as a space is languishing. But I think this is the right time to get into metals, because I think they would this would have to get resolved, and metals would see the light of the day. So metal stocks at the current levels, they look good. Cement again, with the kind of focus which the government has on infrastructure and on housing, and I think demand for cement would be great going ahead. And we've had good monsoon, which would mean that rural economy would also do well. Cement as a space, it's languishing also. It has corrected and started running up recently, but I think it has a lot of steam left. So cement would be one space which one could look at. And defense again is a good space, although it's more or less regulated by the government, which I normally don't like. Any sector dependent on government policies, but defense is one sector which certainly would do well with government's focus on Make in India and lots of announcements which we have done. And recently they've banned Chinese equipments in a lot of sectors. So I think defense would do well. So defense is one sector which, provided the kind of company which you look at is good. So look at the fundamentals of the company in the sector, and you could put your money in defense also. Auto and two-wheelers, again, this is where common sense again prevails, because most of us would agree that even if lockdown gets over and we are absolutely normal, people would be scared of using public transport. Those who can afford to go to office by their own cars, own bikes, they would like to do that rather than using a public transport like a local train. So in this kind of a scenario, I think the demand for two-wheelers would go up sharply. So I'm bullish on two-wheelers, although these companies' stocks have also gone up, but there would be correction, and that would be a good time to enter into these stocks. I've not mentioned passenger vehicle companies in this, because I feel entry-level passenger vehicle would certainly see good demand, but when I did some channel check with a lot of dealers, they said it would also depend on the parking space in metro cities. Like in Mumbai, if one has 2 parking slots, and if he already has 2 cars, then he can't buy another car because of the constraint of parking space. But in smaller towns and cities, entry-level passenger vehicle could do well. So from that point of view, Maruti would be okay. Yeah, so you were trying to interrupt or say something, somebody? Subhi?
No, sir, you may carry on.
Yeah, I'm getting. No, because I thought you were trying to tell me something. Am I taking more time than I'm expected to? No, I think it's okay. And finally, the sector which looks promising is agri or rural focus. I think government's focus on agriculture and the rural economy, and we've seen during the lockdown period also, rural economy was doing well. And I think companies operating in that area, whether it could be fertilizers, whether it could be agri-chemicals, whether it could be pipes, whether it could be asbestos sheets. So these are the kind of companies which would continue to do well. So this is also one sector which one could keep in mind and keep investing into. Then finally, is there anything left? Okay, this is one thing which you need to take away from today's presentation. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And this is by Benjamin Franklin. And that's it, whatever I had to say, because I was asked to wind up my presentation in half an hour. I think the best possible thing which I could do was this, although this topic is such that I could go talking about this for several hours together. I thank you all once again for being a part of it and for listening to me. I don't know whether Sunil Patodia is still there or he is left. That's it.
Sir, can we start with the question answers round?
Yeah, sure.
So, sir, first question is from Aditya. He says, we hear liquidity driven rally, overbought market. Do you think bubble or a long-term sustainable levels?
Sorry. Could you come again? I couldn't hear you properly. Could you come again, please?
We hear liquidity driven rally, overbought market. Do you think this is a bubble or a long-term sustainable levels?
No, as when I started with my presentation, I had told you that in the very short term, the markets look a bit at an inflated level, at an elevated level because of the ample liquidity in the system and the FOMO factor which is working. So one needs to be cautious at the current levels. I would not advise putting all your money at the current levels, but you can always be ready. Keep a list of the stocks which you want to put your money in. And the markets would certainly give you correction. You never know, in the next week or so also we might see some correction. But then wait for corrections and just keep a note of, make a note of good quality stocks which you want to buy and invest in them. But if you have a long-term point of view, don't be scared even if your stock falls by 10 to 15%, provided you've done your research, it's a good quality company. Be with it and try to add more. Use a staggered approach to acquire those kind of stocks. But certainly, yes, at these levels of 11,000 odd, looking at the kind of business environment which we are all seeing, markets look elevated. But as I also told you, markets could remain irrational for larger than you would expect them to be. You never know, it could go to 11,500 and then correct. So just if you're a long-term investor and if you've identified a good quality company, use a staggered approach to be buying into that and don't get worried even if it falls by 10 to 15% from your buying levels.
Yes, sir. So next question is from Diom. What about Yes Bank as they started from 5 and after the launch of FPO, the stock fell to 12. So what are your insights about it? Like, should we hold or buy it?
As far as Yes Bank is concerned, at the current levels, you can certainly hold it, but you need to be having a very, very long-term point of view, at least 2 to 3 years. Most of the big investors where the government had allotted them shares at the rate of 10 rupees with the lockdown condition, and there were celebrated investors from the market like Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and Radhakishan Damani, along with other banks like State Bank of India, would put in their money at 10 rupees. So you can be with them, but then I think there are ample other opportunities in the market where you can make comparatively much better returns. But still, at the current levels, if you have a 2 to 3 years horizon, it's a stock which can be held on.
Right.
So next question from Bhavi. How can fundamental analysis help in finding multi-bagger stock? Any specific ratios to consider?
This was what I was talking about for the last half an hour. I think after that presentation, if he has this question again, then he has to go through the presentation again. If he wants, I can share the entire slides or entire presentation. You can just write in or send in a request to my email ID and I'll send you the presentation. I discussed about that only, that these are the kind of things which you need to look at if you want to study the balance sheet of a company. So these are the key ratios which I discussed at length during my presentation. So I hope I've answered him already.
Yes, sir. So the next question is from Sanjay, sir. What are the sectors that should be avoided apart from aviation? Especially aviation is almost duopoly, even though the sector is debt-ridden.
Aviation certainly is a sector which needs to be avoided at this point in time. But if you are hopeful that the economy will get back to normalcy sooner than what people are expecting, say for that matter, if as Russia is claiming they can come out with a vaccine by 10th of August, if something of that sort happens, and if economies around the world come back to normalcy, then this would be a great time to buy into good quality aviation stocks as well. But looking at the current scenario, as aviation is suffering, there are several other sectors which are going through pretty bad times. Some of them would be the tourism and the hospitality sector. Hotels would be suffering, tourism would be suffering, restaurants, multiplexes, which are not opening up even after the unlock 3. Multiplexes have not been allowed to open. So those are and they have their fixed costs in the terms of rentals and staff salaries. So these are the kind of sectors which will continue to suffer. But if you see a small hope of the economy is getting back to normalcy, you would not find these stocks at these levels. If you are willing to take risk, then find out good quality companies from these sectors as well. Like from a hotel sector, if you were to look at an Indian Hotels, which is a Tata Group company, then their replacement cost of building such hotels would be too huge compared to the market cap which the company currently enjoys. So you could certainly look at the leaders within the sector. PVR as a stock, they come up with a rights issue also recently. It might go down again another 10 to 15%, no doubt about it. But if you feel things would get back to normal sooner than expected, and if you also feel that OTT platforms would not pose a threat, like you are youngsters, you can well tell us whether you would be willing to watch movies in theaters once they open, or you have changed your lifestyle and would be content with watching movies on OTT platforms like Netflix or Amazon Prime. You would need to use your common sense to find out whether PVR is worth investing into or not. But I feel if things normalize, then PVR, which is corrected by more than 50-60%, can be a good opportunity. You never know.
विकास जी,
बोलिए सुनील जी।
बहुत अच्छा लगा, आपने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया। मेरे को लगता है कि दो बहुत बड़े इवेंट्स, जैसे दो इंसिडेंट समझ लो आप। एक तो अपना ये जो कोविड का चल रहा है, इट इज मैटर ऑफ टाइम, क्या वैक्सीन आएगा या कैसे भी somehow people will be protect themselves, कैसे भी करना है, क्योंकि ये लॉकडाउन ज्यादा चलेगा नहीं, 2 महीने 3 महीने और के चलो, इससे ज्यादा चल नहीं सकता है। तो वैक्सीन आया तो ठीक है, नहीं तो कुछ न कुछ रास्ता निकलेगा, इट इज मैटर ऑफ टाइम। दूसरा, हमारे भारत सरकार ने एक न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी दी है, तो ये दो बड़े फैक्टर हैं जो हमारे जो इधर बैठे हैं उन लोगों को मल्टीबैगर चुनने में कुछ न कुछ हेल्प कर सकते हैं, अगर आप आज बताओगे तो उन चीजों को डिसाइड करने के लिए किन किन चीजों में ध्यान रखना चाहिए, वो थोड़ा सा बच्चों का बताएंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा।
देखिए सुनील जी, आपकी बातों से या मुझे भी जैसे आपने सुना, तो मैं बहुत पेसिमिस्ट नहीं हूँ कि कोरोना के कारण घर पे ही बैठ जाना है और दुनिया बिल्कुल बंद हो जाएगी। ऐसा तो मेरा भी मानना नहीं है। मैं भी ये मानता हूँ कि बहुत ही जल्द हो सकता है, और महीना लग जाए, 2 महीना लग जाए, 3 महीना लग जाए, बट वी विल गेट बैक टू नॉर्मल्स, वी विल गेट बैक टू नॉर्मलसी। और उस सिनेरियो में जो आज बाजार का हाल है, हालांकि हम नीचे से ऊपर आ गए इसी एंटिसिपेशन में कि जल्दी ही इसका एक हल निकलेगा, और जितना खराब लग रहा था, जो हमने कॉर्पोरेट रिजल्ट्स भी देखे इस क्वार्टर के, जून क्वार्टर के, वो उतने खराब नहीं थे जितना माना जा रहा था। एंड दैट इज आल्सो वन फैक्टर व्हिच इज ensured that the markets are at the levels at which they are in. आप अगर ऐसे किसी से बात करोगे जो बाजार में नहीं है, जो तो वो बोलेंगे यार धंधा ही नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है। बट स्टिल आप देखोगे तो निफ्टी इज एट 11,000, which is commendable. It has traveled from 7,500 to 11,000. बट उसमें एक और फैक्टर भी काम करता है कि हमारा जो निफ्टी है उसके जो कंपोनेंट्स है, जैसे आईटी कंपनीज है, जो बिग आईटी कंपनीज है, टीसीएस, इन्फोसिस, एचसीएल टेक महिंद्रा या विप्रो, ये बहुत ज्यादा वेटेज रखती है। और इन कंपनियों के बिजनेस को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा, वर्क फ्रॉम होम से इनको फायदा ही हुआ है, बिकॉज इनके जो स्टाफ के एक्सपेंसेस है, ओवरहेड्स है, वीजा कॉस्ट्स है, वो सब ट्रेवल एक्सपेंसेस है, वो सब कम हो गए, और जो इनका बिजनेस है वो ऑनलाइन चल ही रहा है, तो इन कंपनियों को दिक्कत नहीं है, और दैट मेक्स अ मेजर पोर्शन ऑफ द निफ्टी कंपोनेंट। सो उसका एक फायदा फिर रिलायंस, जिसने दुनिया को, मुकेश अंबानी जी ने दुनिया को लॉकडाउन में कैसे काम करते हैं सिखाया है। मतलब आज एक लॉकडाउन के पीरियड में घर बैठे 2 लाख करोड़ रुपया जुटा लिया भारतीय निवेशकों से 53,000 करोड़, हालांकि 28,000 करोड़ उनके थे, पर 35,000 करोड़ भारतीय निवेशकों पे, 25,000 करोड़ भारतीय निवेशकों से, और दुनिया की हु इज हु जो कि लाइन लगा के खड़ी है, जिनको ये चूज कर रहे हैं कि माइक्रोसॉफ्ट को चूज करूं कि गूगल को चूज करूं, तो कमाल ही करते हैं। मतलब आपके पास प्रोडक्ट अच्छा होना चाहिए और अगर बिकते हो आप, बात यही है। वही अपनी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया है, वो एक बीपीसीएल को नहीं बेच पा रही, so there is a difference. So Reliance ने अच्छा परफॉर्म किया, and that is also ensuring that markets are at the levels at which they are right now. फिर हमारी जो एफएमसीजी कंपनीज है, एचयूएल, नेस्ले, उन्होंने भी अच्छा किया। तो ओवरऑल बाजार पे इतना पेसिमिस्टिक नहीं है, और दूसरा सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक, स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक अपॉर्चुनिटीज हमेशा इस बाजार में रहेगी, वो एक। और दूसरा ये जो सरकार ने जो एक बेसिस को मजबूत करने की कोशिश की है, दैट इज अ ट्रेमेंडस टास्क, दैट इज अ ब्रेक थ्रू थिंग विच देव डन। जो एजुकेशन पॉलिसी पिछले 34 साल से जिसको टच नहीं किया गया था, उसको जो चेंजेस कर रहे हैं, I think that would go a long way in ensuring that we turn into a $5 trillion tech economy very soon. जो मोदी जी का सपना है, हालांकि ये पूरा साल बिगड़ गया है, we come back to, we will certainly decline from whatever we were last year, but still achieving a $5 trillion economy by 2025 should be our target, और ये होना चाहिए। और उसके लिए जो बेसिस, जो ये एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में चेंजेस किए हैं, दैट इज आल्सो वन थिंग व्हिच शुड वर्क, और दिस इज व्हाट आई फील अबाउट व्हाटएवर द गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग।
एक आखिरी सवाल और है विकास जी, कि ये तो अभी अपन सोच रहे हैं कि मल्टीवेगर्स अपने को पता चल जाए, लेकिन मल्टीवेगर्स क्रिएट करने वाले भी शायद यहाँ पे बैठे हैं। आई मीन टू से कि स्टार्टअप ओनर्स और एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, तो ऐसे जो लोग हैं खुद बिजनेस करने जाने वाले हैं, तो उनके लिए फाइनेंस के जो रिसोर्सेज है उसमें रहता है एंगल इन्वेस्टर है, फिर वो ये डाइवेस्टमेंट करते रहते हैं, फिर शेयर मार्केट में जाते हैं। तो लेकिन वो सबसे पहले स्टार्ट कहाँ से करें, जिससे कि उनका जो इनिशियल जो इक्विटी है वो हो सकता है मल्टी वेगर्स हो जाए। तो आप कुछ ऐसा टिप देना चाहिए बच्चों की कि भाई कैसे स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि सबसे पहले तो इसमें हिम्मत की जरूरत रहती है, और उसने किसी ने अगर हिम्मत कर ली तो वो आगे कैसे बढ़े उस हिम्मत से, वो थोड़ा सा आप टिप दो बच्चों को।
नहीं सुनील जी, देखिए, जब आपके पास आइडिया अच्छा हो तो उसको बेचने में दिक्कत ही नहीं आती, आइडिया अच्छा आना पड़ेगा। अगर जो भी स्टूडेंट्स है, एक बहुत ही अच्छा यूनिक आइडिया है, आइडिया में यूनिकनेस होना पड़े जो और किसी ने नहीं किया हो, और वो आइडिया अगर एक फ्यूचरिस्टिक आइडिया है, सक्सेसफुल होने जैसा है, तो उसके लिए इन्वेस्टर तो बहुत मिलते हैं। आजकल तो बहुत सारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स हो गए हैं, सीड फंडिंग होती है, एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट होते हैं, प्राइवेट कैपिटल मिलती है, तो इट्स ऑल अवेलेबल। द ओनली थिंग इज यू नीड टू हैव अ सॉलिड आइडिया फर्स्ट। द यंगस्टर शुड बी हिमसेल्फ कन्विंस्ड अबाउट इट, और मेरा तो ये मानना है कि वो खुद की जो कैपिटल है, फैमिली कैपिटल है, उससे एक बार शुरू करके एक लेवल तक पहुंच जाए, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट advisable if you are convinced about your idea, it's not advisable to sell yourself cheap. अगर आप बिना कुछ उसको एक लेवल तक ले जाए, आप जाओगे फंडिंग के लिए, तो आप बहुत सस्ते में बिक जाओगे, एंड दैट आइडिया का जो मजा है वो आपको नहीं मिलेगा। तो मेरा तो यही मानना है कि एक फैमिली कैपिटल या फ्रेंड्स और रिलेटिव्स से कैपिटल से शुरू करके एक लेवल तक पहुंचे, खुद कन्विंस्ड हो जाए कि इट्स अ ग्रेट आइडिया, और आप उसमें कंसिस्टेंट हो, आप उसमें काम करने वाले हो, एंड यू विल गेट टू नो फ्रॉम द मार्केट कि whether you are going to succeed or not, and then at a particular level you could always approach angel investors. There are several platforms, और अगर उससे भी बड़े हो जाते हो तो प्राइवेट कैपिटल, प्राइवेट इक्विटी प्लेयर्स से बात कर सकते हैं, and that is how you could go about arranging funds or getting investments into your ideas. And
कुछ बच्चे क्या शुरू से आत्मनिर्भर रहना चाहते हैं, so I think they can build a team of 2 or 3 or maybe 5 to 10 people. So that is the way they can start. Before selling cheap, आपने जो cheap पे नहीं बेचना उसके लिए मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ कि वे आप अकेले कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो, सब मिलके उसको बनाओ, तो जिससे आपको अपना पहला जो लॉट है वो सस्ते में नहीं बेचना पड़े।
सर सचिन जैन एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहते हैं, तो आई वुड अनम्यूट हिम एंड आई विल आस्क हिम टू आस्क द क्वेश्चन.
Hi everyone, and thank you for ProSite to arrange such a well-informed seminar. So sir, my name is Sachin Jain. I work with a law firm. So I have two specific questions. So hearing you, it's a lot more gives us an impression that there is a lot more to be optimistic on Indian economy. But while we are so excited and gung-ho about India becoming a replacement of Chinese economy in terms of manufacturing and becoming a factory of the world, three things we need land, labor and capital. And in all the three things, we don't see government reforms forthcoming except for few labor reforms. And unless we see all these reforms coming in, what is your view as to how India will grow in terms of this, and how bureaucracy is catching up with all this? And my second question is, the biggest source of employment that can be generated in India, in a country like India, can be through some greenfield projects in terms of infrastructure or so. And in last 10 years or so, we have not seen a big time investment that is coming in the greenfield projects because of the judicial interventions which keep on coming up. So how do you see India coming up, overcoming all these situations and becoming a $5 trillion economy?
Yeah, these are all pretty good questions, but I think some of the issues I tried to address during my presentation when I was talking about some sectors which could benefit out of the isolation of China. But then my concern also was, if we are willing to take up that opportunity, we need to do land reforms, we need to do labor reforms, and the language, the body language which the government has shown, they are certainly also interested in doing that. But since we are a democracy unlike China, it certainly takes a lot of time taking decisions, but we have a strong, solid government at the center. So we are moving in that direction. You must have read in newspapers, or you must have learned that several states have also announced policies where they've liberalized labor laws for some period of time to attract foreign companies, set up manufacturing facilities in those states. So these are the kind of things which are happening, although I would desire that they happen at a faster pace, because there are alternatives to India in the form of Vietnam, in the form of Indonesia, in the form of Brazil. When we are competing in such a world, we need to be faster in taking decisions. But since we are a big economy, a democratic country, so we have our own ways of doing things. Taking time, although India has certainly made some progress in as far as ease of doing business is concerned, rankings have improved. I remain optimistic, but as you rightly pointed out, things would not be that easy. We've got to know some major investments, like even day before yesterday, Apple had announced that they would make iPhone 11 from India to be exported to the world. So things are happening, easy, but then at least it's a step in the right direction. And the second thing which you talked about is employment generation through major greenfield projects. That's also happening, although again, decision making takes a time, and there are lots of concerns. Like there are several industrialists who want to set up a project in India. Tata's wanted to set up a nano project in West Bengal. A lot of political issues were there. Vedanta is also struggling to get their Tuticorin plant running. So these are the kind of things which keep happening and which is deterring Indian promoters also thinking big and putting big investments into the country. But I think let's hope for things to change, and that's all we can pray for it.
Thanks a lot.
So now I would like to unmute Kailash Agal. Even he has raised his hand. I have unmuted him. I don't know where.
विकास जी नमस्कार।
नमस्ते।
सुनील जी नमस्कार। जब तक कैलाश जी अपना क्वेश्चंस पूछते, जस्ट एक मेरे को भी सर छोटा सा डाउट था। इट इज टोल्ड दैट the stock price and gold price are inversely related. Like when the stock market goes up, gold comes down, and when gold goes up, stock market goes up. But this is a scenario when stock market भी बढ़ रहा है, gold price भी बढ़ रहा है. So can you throw some light as to how, whether they are correlated or it is like that कि जो चल रहा है सब चल रहा है?
जयेश, देखिए बिल्कुल आपका क्वेश्चन वैलिड है, बट नॉर्मली फर्स्ट तो आई डू नॉट क्लेम टू बी एन एक्सपर्ट ऑन गोल्ड, तो मुझे तो उतना आइडिया नहीं है, बट ठीक है, ये तो पता ही है कि गोल्ड भी रोज नए हाई टच कर रहा है। एंड नॉर्मली इन अ नॉर्मल सिनेरियो यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट इन पॉइंटिंग आउट दैट दे आर इनवर्सली रिलेटेड। जब गोल्ड बढ़ता है तो इक्विटी मार्केट्स कम होते हैं, बिकॉज गोल्ड नॉर्मली जियोपॉलिटिकल टेंशंस जब दुनिया में होते हैं तब गोल्ड, सिंस इट्स अ सेफर asset class, people flock to gold, and that's what keeps gold prices soaring, and equities they come down. But आज का scenario है जहाँ पे equities are doing well, gold is also doing well, but ये जो equity rally है उसको जैसे मैंने पहले भी बताया, एक तो driven by ample liquidity और दूसरा US में भी बहुत बड़ी रैली बनी है। अगर आप Nasdaq को देखोगे तो वो लाइफ टाइम हाई पे है, बट Nasdaq का मतलब है जो 5 फैंग स्टॉक्स है यूएस में, फेसबुक है, एप्पल है, अमेजॉन है, नेटफ्लिक्स है, गूगल है, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट है, एंड दीज बिजनेस आर डूइंग एक्सीडिंगली वेल। परसों चारों पांचों कंपनियों ने अपने नतीजे पेश किए इस क्वार्टर के, दे वर सिंपली इम्प्रेसिव कि इस लॉकडाउन के पीरियड में उन्होंने बहुत ही जबरदस्त बिजनेस किया है। एप्पल हैज नाउ बिकम अ $1.8 trillion कंपनी, एक्सीडिंग इवन सऊदी अरामको। तो आप जो यूएस में तेजी हो रही है, विच इज एन इंडिकेटर ऑफ द तेजी इन इक्विटी मार्केट्स, वो तो कंसंट्रेटेड इन दीज 5 स्टॉक्स है, इन दीज 6 स्टॉक्स, जिसका वेटेज ही निफ्टी सेंसेक्स जो इंडेक्स में इतना ज्यादा है। तो वो जो चीजें हैं वो तो है। आज हमारे भारत में भी अगर आप देखेंगे तो निफ्टी जहाँ 11,000 पे है, आप रिटेल इन्वेस्टर से बात करोगे जो मिड और स्मॉल कैप्स में है, तो उनको अभी भी वो हाइस के या उतना रिटर्न नहीं मिला, बिकॉज निफ्टी सेंसेक्स दे आर मेड अप ऑफ टीसीएस, इन्फोसिस, हिंदुस्तान लीवर, नेस्ले, रिलायंस, दे आर ऑल डूइंग वेल। तो देयर इज अ वो थोड़ा एक डिफरेंस है। बाकी गोल्ड इज आल्सो डूइंग वेल, एंड गोल्ड की डिमांड मुझे लगता है लॉकडाउन के कारण जो फिजिकल गोल्ड आना जाना पॉसिबल नहीं होगा, वो भी एक कारण हो सकता है। और इट्स गुड फॉर अस, इंडिया इज द बिगेस्ट कंज्यूमर ऑफ गोल्ड, और हमारे हाउस होल्ड के पास गोल्ड सबसे ज्यादा है। वी शुड बी सेलिब्रेटिंग रैली इन गोल्ड आल्सो।
कैलाश जी, आप यू आर यू ऑन द लाइन? कैलाश अगल जी?
Kailash is not in the participation list. So I think we'll take the next question from...
Shubhi, just one request. Can we just take a couple of more questions and then wind up?
Yes, sir, no problem.
Only 2 more questions then.
Okay, sir. We have a question from Diom.
Hi, sir. Good morning. This is Diom this side.
अरे कैलाश अगर आ गया है तो एडमिट हो गया।
So should I continue asking the doubt?
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah. So I did a survey on Bitcoin since my board exams got over. So I started following it from March 15th, where the Bitcoin started from 3,25,000, and even after lockdown in US, like not that high lockdown like it was in India, but then too Bitcoin went up to 7,85,000 and like 8,15,000. So why such a big rise in just a period of like 4 to 5 months? Can you just give some idea?
I am extremely sorry. No clue as to what goes on in Bitcoin.
Okay.
And I would not even like to attempt to answer your question. Bitcoin is not my cup of tea.
Okay, sir. And so, according to you, which are the good education stocks that we should look forward to invest in because of the new education scheme that has come recently in India?
Your name is Diom.
Yes, sir.
Diom, isn't it? Yeah, you have raised a very valid question, but unfortunately, in our Indian stock market,
Hmm.
we do not have very good quality education stocks.
Okay.
They've not made money for us. You like when Mr. S.P. Tulsianji was speaking, he talked about two education stocks, which used to be the favorite of the markets. These two stocks were Educomp and Everon, and they've just gone bankrupt, or people have just lost their entire wealth in that. So unfortunately, we do not have good quality education stocks. But I think if you wanted to play on education, then NIIT could be one stock which comes to my mind, which is a good quality company, which is into IT training and education. Then some stationery companies like Kokuyo, Kimlin, or pen manufacturing company, which is there. So I think these are the kind of companies. There are several other listed companies like in MT, Educare, but somehow these have not created any wealth for shareholders. So I do not like them.
Okay.
So,
And so, even after the FPOs are launched below the share price of any company in the stock market, so should we predict the prices to inflate or should they go down whenever it is launched? So, how do we tackle that situation in the market?
no, normally, when you look at a stock and when an FPO is announced and FPO is at a discount to the current market price, so that is creating an arbitrage opportunity for existing investors. So normally it would come down to levels of the FPO price. And depending on the fundamentals, then whether the FPO is attractive or not, and then you'll need to look at all the things which I discussed during my presentation, whether you should stay invested or not. But in a normal scenario, if the FPO is at a discount to the current market price, the market price would converge towards the FPO price. Because otherwise it will create a lot of arbitrage opportunities. Existing shareholders would sell it in the sell their existing stock and buy into the FPO. So that is how it works.
So now we'll take a last question from Sapna Jadhav.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Vikash, this is Satish Jadhav here. I'm logged in from my wife's mobile. So
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
मेरे दो क्वेश्चंस है. एक क्वेश्चन आपने जो प्रेजेंटेशन में बताया कि एक फंडामेंटली अच्छा स्टॉक चुनने के लिए हमें क्या क्या चीज देखनी चाहिए. प्रोमोटर्स को देखना चाहिए, डेट क्या है वो देखना चाहिए, बैलेंस शीट, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस देखना चाहिए. तो मुझे ये जानना था कि जब हम कोई स्टॉक को स्क्रीन करते हैं, एक फंडामेंटली सही है या सही नहीं है, तो उसकी उन वेरिएबल्स को चुनने की कोई हायरार्की होती है, यानी कि सबसे पहले हमको प्रोमोटर्स को देखना है, फिर डेट इक्विटी रेशियो देखना है, ऐसा कोई फॉर्मूला है क्या? पहला चीज ये, सो दैट सभी नए जो मार्केट में उतर है वो एक अच्छा स्टॉक चुनने के लिए उनको आसानी हो जाए. मेरा दूसरा क्वेश्चन था, स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक था. HDFC लाइफ एंड NBCC, इन दोनों को आप 2 साल के बाद 2 या 3 साल के अंतर पर आप कहाँ देखते हैं इन दोनों स्टॉक्स को?
देखिए, एज फार एज आपने जो पूछा हायरार्की क्या है, तो चूंकि देखना आपको सब कुछ ही है, जो मैंने बताया कि प्रोमोटर्स होल्डिंग भी देखना है, प्लेज भी देखना है, डेट भी देखना है, रेशियोज भी देखने हैं, रिटर्न रेशियोज भी देखने हैं, अर्निंग्स ग्रोथ भी देखना है, अर्निंग्स विजिबिलिटी भी देखना है. तो किसी भी ऑर्डर में देखिए, डज नॉट मेक अ डिफरेंस बिफोर बाइंग. आप ऐसे तो नहीं कि सिर्फ प्रोमोटर्स होल्डिंग देख के पहले इन्वेस्ट करेंगे और बाद में कुछ देखेंगे, ऐसा नहीं है. आपको देखना तो सब कुछ ही है. तो हायरार्की वुड नॉट मेक मच ऑफ अ डिफरेंस. आप जो चाहिए वो देखिए, बट देखिए जिस ऑर्डर में देखना है देखिए, बट सब कुछ देखिए. सजेस्ट कि पहले तो आपको जो मैंने बोला कि ये चीजें जरूर से देखना है, और जिसमें सबसे ज्यादा जो इम्पोर्टेंट जो मैंने 3 चीजें बताई, जो आपको याद करने के लिए भी मैंने एक फॉर्मूला दिया कि आप PDC पोस्ट डेटेड चेक के रूप में याद रखिए कि प्रोमोटर्स की होल्डिंग क्या है, प्रोमोटर्स के प्लेजेस क्या है. क्योंकि आमतौर पे जिन कंपनियों में लोगों को भारी नुकसान हुआ है, उसमें सबसे जो सिंगल मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट कारण था, प्रोमोटर्स ने अपने शेयर्स प्लेज किए हुए थे, और फिर जो वो फंड्स जो बोरो करके वो जो काम करते हैं एक अनरिलेटेड कुछ डाइवर्सिफिकेशन या उनका इंटरेस्ट और कुछ में है, फिर वहां पे अगर फेल होते हैं तो उनके जो शेयर्स वो बिकने को आते हैं, दैट लीड्स टू द डाउनफॉल ऑफ द कंपनी। तो प्रोमोटर्स प्लेज इज द सिंगल मोस्ट इंपोर्टेंट थिंग। दूसरा डेट, मैंने बोला जो डेट इज द वर्ड, द डर्टी वर्ड इन द मार्केट। आज कोई भी क्वालिटी कंपनी जिसने मल्टीबैगर रिटर्न्स दिए हैं, आप टीसीएस ले लो, इन्फोसिस ले लो, आप हिंदुस्तान लीवर ले लो, नेस्ले, ब्रिटेनिया, कुछ भी ले लो, कभी तकलीफ नहीं है। लॉकडाउन है, धंधा नहीं भी चल रहा है, तो एटलीस्ट जब आपको इंटरेस्ट का बोझ नहीं है तो यू विल सस्टेन, यू विल सर्वाइव, ठीक है ना। तो आपको डेट को देना ही है। ये मैं ऑर्डर की बात कर रहा हूँ कि ये 3 चीजें तो देखनी है, बाकी आप और तो चीजें देखें। थर्ड इज कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस। कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस में प्रोमोटर्स की इंटीग्रिटी, वो एथिकल है कि नहीं है, रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजेक्शन्स ज्यादा कर रहे हैं, ऑडिटर्स कैसे हैं, कंपनी के ऑडिटर्स ने जो नोट्स दिए उसमें कुछ क्वेश्चन है क्या, सुनील पटोले जी ज्यादा अच्छे से बता सकते हैं। तो ऐसा करके ये पीडीसी को तो बिल्कुल गांठ बांध दीजिए, उसको तो देखना ही है। तो वो तो एक हो गई आपको, और हायरार्की का कोई मतलब नहीं है, यू नीड टू लुक एट ईच वन ऑफ देम। और दूसरा, आपने जो 2 स्पेसिफिक स्टॉक के बारे में पूछा, एचडीएफसी लाइफ तो मुझे बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है, एक हाईली अंडरपेनिट्रेटेड सेक्टर है। आप एक स्टैगर्ड रूप में इस स्टॉक में इन्वेस्ट करते जाइए। लाइफ इंश्योरेंस इज डेफिनेटली अ सनराइज सेक्टर। आज भारत में देखेंगे तो बहुत ही अंडर पेनिट्रेटेड सेक्टर है, और एक स्ट्रॉन्ग पेडिग्री एचडीएफसी ग्रुप का मैनेजमेंट, और उनकी तो जितनी कंपनियां उन्होंने, अगर आपने 10 साल पहले इन्वेस्ट किया है तो जबरदस्त पैसे बना के दिए हैं। So there is no doubt about it. HDFC Life is a great stock to own from a long-term point of view. The only thing is कि ऐसे तो मैं बोलता हूँ टाइम करना नहीं है, बट आप हो सकता है आप स्टैगर्ड अप्रोच यूज कर सकते हैं कि भाई आपने, आपको फर्ज करे 1 लाख रुपए डालना, तो आपने 30,000 का आज ले लिया, फिर वेट किया, अगर कम हो गया बढ़ गया तो 30,000 का तो आपने दिया वही है। तो दैट्स इट। दूसरा एनवीसीसी पे मेरा व्यू थोड़ा अलग है। हालांकि एक गवर्नमेंट कंपनी है, हालांकि नहीं, एक गवर्नमेंट कंपनी है, वो भी उसका डिसएडवांटेज है वैसे, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट फिर कई रेगुलेशंस आते हैं। ऑर्डर बुक अच्छी है, बट एग्जीक्यूशन कैपेबिलिटी पे अभी कोई विश्वास नहीं हुआ है। स्टॉक अपने हाइट से बहुत पिटा हुआ है, उस लिहाज से देखेंगे तो करंट लेवल्स पे जिनके पास है उनको निकलने की सलाह तो नहीं रहेगी। बट आप एक मल्टीबैगर आइडियाज खोजोगे और सोचोगे कि ये 3 साल में एक मल्टीबैगर बन जाएगा, वैसा मुझे नहीं लगता उसमें। देयर आर अदर अपॉर्चुनिटीज इन द मार्केट। तो उस लिहाज से अगर आपको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर स्पेस में भी रहना है तो मुझे लगता है उससे बेटर कंपनियां हैं। और ये तो फिर क्या है, गवर्नमेंट ओन्ड है, तो गवर्नमेंट के रेगुलेशन से, हालांकि काम उनको बहुत मिलते हैं गवर्नमेंट से, लेकिन बहुत इश्यूज रहते हैं एग्जीक्यूशन में और वगैरह में। तो मेरी तो यही राय है कि जो इन्वेस्टेड है वो बने रह सकते हैं, बट फ्रेश इन्वेस्टमेंट आई विल नॉट रिकमेंड।
पूछने को क्यों बोला?
बस आई थिंक।
थैंक यू विकास जी। विकास जी, हमारे साथ संजय बिंदल जी है, जो काफी सीनियर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है, एंड अगेन ही इज आल्सो कनेक्टेड विद मार्केट। संजय बिंदल जी, हेलो, हाउ आर यू?
उनको अनम्यूट करना है, उनको अनम्यूट करिए।
अनम्यूट कर संजय जी।
हाँ, कर दिया।
या विकास जी, जयेश भाई, थैंक यू वेरी मच। सुनील जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच। इट्स अ वेरी गुड सेशन, बहुत ही अच्छा सेशन था। इवन मैं 20-25 साल से मार्केट में हूँ, बट तुलसियान जी का, विकास जी का सुन के बहुत ही अच्छा लगा, एंड इट वाज वेरी हेल्पफुल। आई थिंक स्टूडेंट्स एंड like newly chartered accountants, they will learn a lot, and there are ample opportunity in the market to gain the knowledge and everything. And Vikas ji, thank you very much. Jayesh bhai, thank you very much.
Thank you Sanjay ji. In fact, we were expecting the student more, but then practical situation is that ki almost 90% of the participants over here are professionals, either chartered accountant or are into some business, and definitely rest 10 are also future chartered accountants. They are studying chartered accountancy. So we can say all 100% of the crowd are almost 100% of the crowd are professionals or would be professionals. So
always we are student here.
Yeah, it's always a learning process. मैं भी रोज पढ़ता ही हूँ, तो रोज कुछ ना कुछ गेन करता हूँ, तो पढ़ाई तो कभी खत्म नहीं होती।
Right, sir,
yes, आपने आपके स्लाइड में लिखा भी है, read. So it is always that you are always a student of your own self, just to upgrade yourself. Yes, for आगे के सेशन के लिए शुभी, you can just continue. Thank you very much विकास जी।
Thanks जयेश जी। मुझे एक्चुअली बुलाने के लिए और इतने एलीट एक ऑडियंस को एड्रेस करने के लिए थैंक यू सो मच.
Yes, Harshita, please.
Sir,
continue.
sir, there are many people asking for your PPT and your email ID. So
Yeah, you can send them my email ID. I'll just tell you. It's Vikas K Sethi. I'll spell it for you. VIKAS
VIKAS
K
K
Sethi SETHI Sethi
Sethi.
SETHI.
Okay, sir, I've
You can
put
see my name, and in between there is a K, as in Vikas Kumar Sethi. Vikas K Sethi @gmail.com.
Okay, sir. So, sir, can we end the session?
Yeah, sure. I would. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So, I would like to thank Mr. Vikas Sethi and Sunil Patodia, sir, for a wonderful interactive session, and even our participants for joining us today. Hoping to see you at our next event. And this session was recorded and it will soon be uploaded on YouTube. You can stay connected with us on Telegram or YouTube. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Vikas ji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sunil ji, bye. Bye.